Yeah, I think we saw that last night too. Because I think Dante, you were raging about that starting lineup, right? And you have been. This is your bone to pick. So I mean, we mentioned it. We might as well jump into it. This is, and I'm on your side too, to be honest. But like I've seen the tweets come out of Dante's camp here. He hates the two center lineup.
Here's the thing with the two center lineup. You know, it's one thing, you give it a game or two, you give it a shot, see if it works. It doesn't work, you switch it up, you go somewhere else. We're 8 games in, and we're still going to the same lineup. They've only been twice this year where it's been different. It's because Thompson's been out, and last game Smart was out. So they still did the two centers. It was one game where they didn't do two centers. The team, the Celtics, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. So I'm sorry if I mess my words up a little bit. I just get very emotional when I talk about this, okay? We've played so many games this year, and each game we start the game off super slow. The energy isn't there. Defense isn't there. We're not hitting as many shots as we should. Why is that? Well, we're starting two centers, two guys that have the same exact role, really. Like if you look at how they play the same exact way. Daniel Tice literally said I think it was against the Pacers. He literally said, I don't feel comfortable playing the power forward. I'm much more comfortable playing the 5 because when he's at the 5, he can set screens, he can roll to the basket, do this and that. When Thompson's on the floor with him, he has to spread the floor and he has to shoot threes. He can't spread the floor. He can't shoot threes. So it doesn't work. He's hit 1 3 since opening night. It's just like every once in a blue moon, he'll hit a shot, but it's like once every 10 to 15 times. Last night against the Raptors, the team comes out and they're down 23-10, right? 6 minutes in. Semi Ojeleye subs out for Tristan Thompson. They go on a 45-19 run. They allowed 18 points in the first 4 minutes of that game and only allowed 24 the rest of the half. This lineup, I don't understand Brad's infatuation with starting two centers. If this was the 2000s, 1990, sure, go for it. No one in the NBA starts two centers anymore. We really only have 3 guys in the starting lineup that could really score. Marcus, Jalen, Jason. I'm not saying anything about Tyson Thompson, but you're not asking them to go out and give you 10, 15 a night. So when you basically just have 3 guys in the court that can start the offense for the team to start the night. And when you bring in guys that actually make an impact, Semi Ojeleye, Peyton Pritchard, you see the turnaround. This team, let me tell you this stat really quick. I don't know if you guys saw this. I like I said, I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, but I get very emotional with this.
Tangent away.
This lineup,
Headband
Dante. When I had the headband on, you know it's going to be a good episode. In the first quarter, the team has an offensive rating of 97.4. The starting lineup allows 113.7 points per 100 possessions. Their defense. Their defensive rating is 114 points. That's awful. That's so many points. Their offensive rating is 94. Also terrible. If you look at their first quarter offensive rating of 97, that jumps up 30 points into the second quarter. Why? Because Brad Stevens puts guys in that actually know how to put the ball in the basket and can play the perimeter. Semi Ojeleye, him or Peyton Pritchard need to start. I know Peyton Pritchard, like spark plug off the bench. I get this and that, but he's proven that he can start. When he comes into the game, he changes everything on offense and defense. Might not be the best defender in the world, but he picks up the pace. He goes for loose balls. He causes turnovers, steals the ball. Offense, he gets guys going. Incredible passer, playmaker, can shoot the ball. Semi Ojeleye, I've said not great things about this guy in the past, but when he steps in the game, he has been one of the most impactful players for the Celtics this year. And it upsets me too because Brad Stevens, up until this year, I really have never complained about him. His rotations and substitutions this year have been abysmal. Semi Ojeleye has a great start to the year, and then he has a few games where he just doesn't play. Yeah. It's why are you not playing the guys that are actually helping the team? In this case, Semi Ojeleye, honestly, if it's not Pritchard, it should be Semi because you have a guy that can go out there, spread the floor, play defense, just try something different. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm not an NBA head coach. I can't tell you the Pritchard, Jalen, Jason, Smart, Thompson lineup is going to work. Just give it a shot. Just give it one shot. If it doesn't work, go back to whatever you want to do. But when you consistently use a lineup that doesn't work, and Brad Stevens says, I asked him if he's going to change it. He goes, they're too inconsistent to tell right now if I should change it. What do you mean? We're 8 games in, and every single game it's been the same problem. They start slow, and then they pick it up in the second quarter because you put in good guys. Change the starting lineup for the love of God. 2 centers does not work. Ditch it. Leave it alone. Tice is much better off the bench. Or if you want to start Tice and have Thompson off the bench, all for it. Just one of them, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Brad Stevens and how big sigh after.
It's a lot. It's a mouthful. It really is. It really is.
So the Brad Stevens, you mentioned how you haven't been critical of him before. You've this is kind of the first thing.
Yeah.
This not the two center lineup, but his rotations has been something for like a year and a half now that I've been critical of, because I always think and have thought now Brad Stevens gets a rotation in his mind and runs with it.
Sticks
And
with
it
it. Yep.
doesn't matter what's going on the floor. He's a great coach. I don't want to get rid of Brad Stevens, but he just gets a rotation and he thinks, oh, let's do it. And it doesn't really matter what's going on out there. And I mean, the one sort of, I don't know if it's in his defense or a bit of credence to it, is that the two center lineup, it kind of looked like it worked against Milwaukee right away. And then maybe he was like, I have something here. Let's keep running it until it doesn't work. But I feel like a couple games ago, we're at the point where you have to acknowledge, okay, it really doesn't work. So I'm with you on the rotation. I don't like it as I don't like it either. And Semi Ojeleye would be my vote to start. Yep. Semi Ojeleye has proven me wrong. I mean, I didn't even hate Semi Ojeleye, but he was always the butt of my joke when I talked about the Celtics bench. You know what I mean? It's always like, we're bringing in Semi Ojeleye. It's like, well, now it actually works. It's good. But if I touch on Pritchard here, and we can talk about Pritchard in more of a light in a little bit, I think Pritchard is that perfect guy off the bench. I get that he can start, and he's proven that he, deserves to start in some senses. But I do think that most of his value comes with, and you said it yourself, Dante, the way he comes in and changes the game. You don't necessarily have the opportunity to change the game starting it. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. Like, I think he can start. I think if they started Pritchard, he would continue to play well. I'm really high on him right now, as I'm sure we all are. But I really do like that he is the spark plug, So my vote would be Semi. I've had enough of this two-center lineup. I think the proof's in the pudding so far. It doesn't work, and I'm hoping Brad Stevens sees that too, because, I mean, if he trots out a two-center lineup next game, it's like, dude,
I'm with you. You're talking about, like, there are certain teams, like, matchups that you can use that for. Like Milwaukee, like, they're a very tall team. They're a very tall starting lineup. So that's fine.
But even then, you mix them, you match them up during the game. You don't need to start that. You know what I mean? If you feel the two centers match up well against a team, throw that in there sometime during the game. You don't need to get out and going with a two-center lineup, because you start two big men, you're almost telling yourself, let's start the game slow. Now, not even slow points-wise, but you're not running as much as you would on the floor. You're not getting after it as much. You have two bigger, slower guys out there.
Yeah, and let's look at the 3 losses. We have 3 losses this year. One, obviously, Brooklyn blowout. We don't have to talk about that. That Pacers game, the Grant Williams, Robert Williams mix-up at the end. First of all, Grant Williams shouldn't have even been in that game. I know we talked about this last week, but like that's just that's a substitution. That's a rotation thing. Brad Stevens should not have put Grant Williams in right there. Against the Pistons, we lost by 3. We went down by 21 points in the first quarter. The Pistons started 3 forwards, a guard, and the starting Plumlee. I forget which Plumlee it is. But we still put out 2 centers, even though we knew Tice was going to have to go up against Jeremy Grant the entire game, who honestly made Tice look really bad. I'm not going to lie to you. And then you put in the bench, like I mentioned earlier, and they outscored them the rest of the game. Like, that was the only quarter that they went down a ton, and they couldn't get back into it because of that. It's like, these things they're going to cost you games. I know it's early in the season and stuff, but if you these are habits that you're going to continue to build. And if that keeps going on, you're just going to cost your team more and more games. And it adds up. Right now, it's whatever, it's 3 losses early in the season. But if those types of losses keep happening because of mistakes like that, then it's going to become very annoying very quickly.